When do you start talking? Is more formatted as a question I'm asking you. Is that when you want to convey something to someone, whether if it's urgent or particular in nature, that you want to give everything you've got, but so spread thin, how do you react to that? Do you yell in a pillow, or do you just mirror off what their intention was or expectations? I'm gonna say I am in the mindset right now where, I'm not gonna say this week was bad, but I will say it almost feels nebulous. Let's say, this is an example. Yesterday, definitely, I got a haircut. I went to projects for like 5 hours, listening to 9 groups of people's pitches for game presentations, and also, like, at the end of the day, I look at a grade of a specific teacher, and I get like a 78, and I'm like, oh, I'm not angry anymore, but like at the moment I'm just like, damn, it's that type of teacher, like with the type of concepts that they make, or what they envision the students to learn, because they've learned it from however other people, and then me, I have to learn from their style and whatnot. So that bugged me. I did scream in a pillow, and I'm like, okay, on to the next thing. But with that anger came me being awake still, so I wanted to actually do CS homework, and I finished that early. It doesn't feel like foreign to me to make these, I think as I've established like 3 videos right now, the third one didn't pop up. I'm not gonna address. That's not the Debbie Downer to me. I'm gonna make these even if they're low on views. But conceptually, I think it's very enriching from my lens. Is that every time in the intro, I either want to put something that is cinematic in a way, or where I want to do like a really good intro. At the same time, I want to like ground myself, not with just a cinematic focus of like, oh, this is a new video. And again, I've not got a camera. I literally do, but sometimes I need to keep like my head straight in what I do, and as well, like thinking about just like team dynamics with my team, doing the pitch, and then needing to do like a reflection about it. I had to break down like people's like if they would commit to the project, or would be attentive to it, or would they be more lax and say it's just another assignment. that sort of passion, and like when it comes to team dynamics, who will put everything they have, their all, or who will just not like coast along with the team, but like say, oh, this is not a big deal. If anything, it feels like a weakness to me that I am like a workaholic in many aspects, and none of. It's not that I expand on ideations or things. It's like I put too much of my attention to wanting to experiment. And I don't think it's much more of a weakness, but it's something I can't forget. Because if I do forget, then it's very much tunnel vision to me. Like the feeling I get when I like make these videos. Initially, I always feel conscious. Like I have no plan besides this, like literally, which is my thing that I want to note down a little bit. But I wing it. And I think that's like a part of what I want to convey, is that like that you don't need to have a plan when you make something. I think there has to be some sort of incentive, and if more uniquely and more special and more your own drive to do it. And that's hard to define at the beginning. It's like, who are you as a type of person? Like I am obviously like someone who likes to rant, and I'm gonna keep this to 10 minutes and then stop. But I want to make these videos, as I've reiterated so many times, not to show that someone who's slowly going insane, or someone who is trying to convey some other persona, for that matter. I think it's very interesting that you don't see a lot of videos, or if anything, like I do an animation, and then afterwards it's like, okay, almost like the behind the scenes, obviously, but you don't have like a peek in like the artist's life, which to me, this is my personal almost game dev log of each week. And I think it would be really rewarding for me to like just see how I go about each week, how I go about showing myself off in a way where I'm reasonable. I actually want to do things, but I feel like the world is so much, and at the same time understand that I'm just one person, and it doesn't mean that I have to fix everyone. But for whomever I cross, like especially I got a haircut, and there was this old man who had a hat. His name was Israel, and he didn't know how to work that iPad thing to sign in. It was already on a check-in, and he was supposed to go before me in the haircut, and he sat, and then I just signed in. But the introvert self of me, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna I thought, because I didn't specifically see what he was doing, but he was like tapping the table, like as if like he was waiting for someone. But he sat down, and then I was going to talk to him, but then he got a phone call, and he was talking to his son, who is a dad, who has his family, and he was talking about like, man, I'm sorry I wasn't able, I'm not the type of like father who talks to you a lot or like catch up on you. Like, I know you're busy and I'm also busy as well. How are you? And then they go on their own conversation, personal conversation, while I'm behind. And it's sports clips, so they have like a TV and it's like a competition of like tennis. And after a few minutes, he stops the call. It went well. His son, or like the dad, I believe got like some form of like surgery or whatnot, to like hip surgery. He's doing well. And then I had the opportunity to tell him, but I didn't still, because also in the back of my head I'm like, okay, there's also barbers who are more inept to tell people how to work the counter kiosk thing. So I wanted, in the back of my head, I wanted to wait for someone to go to the kiosk and then I will like raise my hand or something. And as well, I didn't know his name before, so when another person came in, I'm like, oh, is that probably his name, like on the board when you see your name in sports clips? And I expected that he's not Alejandro. I'm like, man, legal name for him. But then when I mustered up the courage, seeing that you get to see who's up next for line, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes in, I decided to tap his shoulder. And when I tapped his shoulder, his hand raised up. Not looking at me, but I was behind him, but he was hand raised up. And I'm like, excuse me, sir, do you need help? I don't see your name before my name. Something like that. I'm rephrasing. And I was wondering, do you want me to like help you like type in the number? And it's like, yeah, we can do that now. And it's like, yes, we can do that now. And then it's like, I help him. And afterwards, when he got help to type his like phone number in the thing, he turned his hat to me and said, like, your parents raised you well. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. And then he went first, and then I went second, so no hard feelings on him. Like, he was a pretty old person, so I also said, like, I didn't want you to wait here all the time, like the whole time, if you didn't get yourself signed in. And then he said something along the lines of like, man, you know, in my age, I'm gonna become dust or something. It's like, yeah. I think that's a really good example for this week that made a highlight for me, that I think that's enough for me. Feeling good, you know, that I'm a person who doesn't, in this economy, obviously I need money, but money is not the end goal for me. I think the end goal is really much making it easier for other people to live and be like considerate in the fact that, you know, it's overwhelming to even feel like that small things like homework assignments that are graded, you know, feel like they have to have value and not just something that you can say like, okay, you passed, you know, you did something, you finished the assignment, which I know takes away the credit of effort in some cases. For me at least, I know that I am one of however million people who, even if I get a pass, I try my hardest to make things not even too much for someone, not in a bad connotative way, but more so impactful in a positive light. And then I think that's why I also feel like I feel like I could be like some form of teacher, no less, to say that I want to give it my all. And that's also like look at the time, 60 minutes. But sometimes, even when you don't plan things, you are entangled in this life, especially if like human wise, is that you'll come across people that you don't even know, and they will impact you, and you just gotta show yourself up. It's like showing yourself up to the room. It's better to show yourself up to the room than not show yourself at all, because it's only speculation at that point. And speculation is like the killer potion of identity, you know? It's like, do you want to keep speculating about who you are, or who you want to be, or do you want to actually see for yourself how people personify you and then react to it in a way where you don't have to take their responses to heart, but acknowledge that, hey, this is what people see you as. And then you can reiterate it by telling people, like, hey, I know I am actually this. Here's who I am. And I'm owning it. Whether if it's bad or good. And if it's bad, hopefully you find people who want to help you work on it. Okay, I'm gonna go 20 minutes. But yeah, I'm not struggling. I think I think you have to find a like rhythm to do these, and I know for sure I want to keep making these Saturday, but if the video files are long, they'll be posted on Sundays. That's what I plan to do. Currently, it's the 27th of January, so almost, if not the last Saturday of January. And I'm class-wise, I'm headstrong. But it's always like those first assignments are like, man, let me test the flow of like how a teacher teaches. Then I will get good, which is a risk I take. It's not like I do like less effort. It's more so like, okay, I will do this, but if I get a bad grade, it's because you want this, and it's not bad to say that I need to adapt to you. Don't be mad and saying that, oh, do it yourself. No, I'm doing it on behalf of how you grade things. Okay. Okay. On to the next segment, whenever that is. Okay. Eat. If you can't tell already, it's raining. Instead of an actual hit, like slide deck, I'm just gonna make the slides here and just like have a cover of it and just like talk about it a little bit, and that will be it. So I'm just replacing the complaining dilemma slide, and I will just, if anything, I'll do how to get up in the morning right. And by someone who likes to sleep in, or is an all-nighter person. Dating in case if this becomes outdated. The one thing I would say is it all depends on how long you let yourself to stay awake. And then another one is, are you eating the right amount or have any formal routine at the end of the day or morning? And possibly it could be where are you located before and after sleep? How to get up in the morning right. It's all because, what? It all depends on how long you let yourself to stay awake. Let yourself stay awake. Take off the two. I think that's very true. Because if you sleep at, for me at least, when I sleep at, let's say 11, I wake up at 7. So I know over the years, because I've written down how long I sleep or like the times I wake up, immediately with like a notebook next to my bed, I would say if I am, it depends on how much work I've done over the night, not just overall in the day, because you could crash harder depending on if you are physically doing something or if you are mentally doing something more. It takes more time to recharge as opposed to I don't want to say playing video games, saying like you're just doing a doodle and you go to sleep, you have some stored energy still to be like, okay, I can wake up at 5, because that's what your body feels like it needs. So that's what I would note to yourself, to keep track of like how, or have some sort of journal and be like attentive with it and say like, okay, this is the time I woke up, and have like a clock next to you. Like I have like a Google Home thing that I get to see, or a watch I sleep at night with that records like how long takes me to sleep, which I find it's on the counter. But are you eating the right amount or have any formal routine at the end of the day or morning? So the first half with eating, maybe you didn't eat anything at night and you just go to sleep. It's gonna mess with you that you want to eat something, obviously. So you make yourself like a night gourmand, if you will, and you try to like stick like Ritz crackers with like cheese sticks or something. So if you eat good or eat enough at night and you sleep well, then that also benefits you a lot. And routines at the end of the day or morning can help as well. My morning routine now is actually these videos that I make. Again, I'm not eating, so I'll probably eat during my break. That'll be cool. And my end night segment, no, my end routine at night, sadly, is like just looking at my phone in bed, which I need to stop doing. So I will have to do that, and I set myself accountable. I probably have to do that in the other videos, but I save it now again. Where are you located before and after sleep? So depending on, if you're someone who travels, like, man, I'm doing all-nighter, I gotta sleep on a couch. It depends on if you're sleeping on a couch, if you're comfortable or not. If it's not, or you're someone who can sleep in any place, in any arrangement, or any pose, then good on you. I'm also like that, but it also depends on the amount of work. Like in the first half of the slide, of like, man, I've done a lot of drawings with my hand to render a tree, and then I'm sleeping on a chair. That's not going to be good sleep. That's how I equate it to that. So that's what I would recommend, to be consciously aware of like how much work you put in and stuff, and then seeing like, okay, is there like an actual place I can somewhat try to rest at? If you can, you get decent sleep. Thank you for listening, and that is it. That's how long I take to make those videos. So on to the next segment. The most unhealthy thing imaginable. Cake. I'm eating cake for the break. So I'm just gonna sit here, and I might cut that. I don't know. I should have not moved the camera. I'm like, hey, but then see, you can't see it. It was someone's birthday this week. It was actually two people's birthday this week. It was my teammate's birthday. It was a guy and a girl. They are not related. It's more so just by coincidence. It's like, oh wow. Well, I'm eating the cake. That's my breakfast. Again, it's nice. Mental checkup. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying YouTube videos, or you made it this far for this one. I hope that you also get your assignments done, and it's okay to feel bombarded with a lot of things. I think, though, you should not mirror back the attitude. I think you always have to be like the better person and say, thank you for the feedback, but I'm gonna do my own thing, It's fun. But also be on the lines of, if you're in a team, it's like, okay, I'll follow what you say, and I'll try to be transparent with you if I can't make up the points, which is awesome. Cool. I think I also don't watch my videos, you know? The only time I watch my videos is like after editing. It's cold. After editing, so I don't watch these religiously. But in the back of my head, when I do these. But if you find them really, I think there's honestly a difference between when you make something and then I understand why people don't watch what they make. It's either they've already like involved themselves a lot more into it physically, and I think there's a difference between like being there and then watching it replay. Because when you're there, you're seeing it from like a first person point of view, you're feeling it all like your body and everything. But you can't like touch it, like you're touching the screen. Sure. Or you're watching me through a screen. But at this point right now, like, you know, I'm eating a cake. Enjoying it. But right now, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze again. Immediately. And I feel like boning. But I don't really have a lot. Right. Yesterday as well, I got Panera Bread. Oh, sandwich. I've never been to Panera Bread, so I'm like, okay. And I saw old ladies playing mahjong. I'm like, damn, I want to join in, but I didn't. I got a mango smoothie with Greek yogurt, and I'm like, why? I'm not gonna say why it's a thing. Sure, it can be a thing, but I'm like, when you drink it, it's like, it's an experience. Well, man, why? No. Okay. But who actually digs this, you know? Me. I like mango, but I don't know if it's a good thing or Greek yogurt. But again, if you're just listening to it while you're doing work, good on you. And as well, thank you to those who still watch these or not, or if you're new. And I am slowly refining it as I go. Like, this is my 4th video. I have like a general sense of like repetition, and later on, you know, down the months, I can be like, yeah, let's tell a lore story. I don't know. I'm thinking whenever it comes to the case, like a little hint. I don't know. Probably something next video. Probably it's some form of video where I'm thinking almost like Markiplier, where like in space or heist, where I have this like video layout and I do it for, let's say, like an hour, and I'll actually plan it beforehand. And there are like segments in which you can like watch or view things. You're like, oh my gosh, what? To find like the ending to it all, which that'll be interesting to try out. I might do like a demo test for something, but thematic wise, I don't know either. So, no, if you have any personal worries, you can talk to me. I can be someone to be an outlet to just like for you to vomit at. Like, I have depression. I'm like, I feel that too. And it's valid you feel that. And like personally, if I had to be blunt, like I won't give you like money. Like I'll be there to support and listen to you and be like an actual like backboard than like a wall to talk to. But if you really need money, like it depends on like you have like a phone call. This is just not right now. It's like please. It's like please like for what? It's like I want money, please. I need it, and I'm like okay, why? It's like I just need it, please. I'm like I hate those cars because it's like as much as it's very I'm like ugh, I don't know. So yes, on to whatever the next segment. Oh, also, I wanted to say, the last video was not the shortest video. I think it was the shortest video recording it, if I had to specify. Not the shortest video in length for a video, okay? It's still the second video. I don't know if it's gonna be this video, but otherwise, that is what I want to note. Because I'm like, And I don't like editing myself. I only like editing myself in real time than opposed to like video format. But for segments lately, it's like boom, boom, boom. I have actually nothing planned in between. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually evil. Like in between, like they think I'm this. No, I'm gonna try to be genuine for these 52 weeks that I have on this platform and in my life that I'm living right now. So you can call that like season 1. And then season 2, it's whatever. In the morning, actually, I was watching a podcast a little bit with like Bobby Aloff as like a guest, and I believe I forgot the person's name, who is like a comedian who was interviewing her, and she was saying or somewhat referring to like, you know, like yeah, celebrities, they get you the clicks. I'm like, that's cool, but at the same time, I'm someone in my predicament who doesn't want or should worry about having celebs on like a podcast like that, or like this is not even somewhat of a podcast. I try to do them in like an hour, but it's like, come on, I need to chill down and be like, this is just like almost a vlogcast, if you will, of just checking in every week. So okay, I am just gonna I'm getting somewhat more lazy in locations, but I'm doing angles angle shots. I'm going to start the next segment, which is Wheel of Content. So I gotta pull that up. This Wheel of Content. No. Wheel of Names. Okay. Storyboarding. Art tips class and tutorial. Okay. And now I'll just time myself for like 4 minutes. I'll do like a computer timer. 4 minutes. Timer. 4 minutes. I'm gonna go. How am I gonna do this recording? Let me just do this. I have my iPad.
let me actually see though. So if I just drew something, let's say I draw a triangle. If you can see this triangle, okay. If I drew a square, I think that's fine. Okay. If I drew text on here, text, zoom in. Okay, that's fine. I just conscious to show it. Okay, storyboarding now. Okay, when it comes to storyboarding, you obviously have to start off with your establishing shot. Usually when at the beginning of a story, establishing shot in an acronym form is ES. Whether if you place yourself in, let's say, like environments, so this thing hole here is like a mountain, and let's say this is like your character, and the character is overlooking like a mountaintop or ridge, and you're showing that from a value study perspective, whatever it is. There are also shots in which you really have to, it's more of like a rule, and then you can break that rule if you want. The conscious belief of rule of thirds. I don't know the acronym for rule of thirds. I believe I went over rule of thirds. If I didn't, it's pretty much if you have a character in frame, usually it's in the middle or offset in the frame, it looks more pleasing. In a better visual cue. Oh, sorry, not that. If they're off to the center right here, it's more appealing. And typically, what you can play around with as well is like ratio, where you can have like, this is your film size, it's just a square, or maybe it's a little bit more wider in the square, but this is actually the length of it. Or you can go widescreen to show the immense impact of like one character here, or a character like right here. Oh, that's an eraser tool. Character right here, like bigger, or like the scenes with arrows indicating the shift of like the size of the screen, expanding to the wide, and the end results end over here. What you can also do when it comes to doing storyboarding is playing with a lot of value and understanding that there is a play as well with like perspective. Let's say we have to know like this is the ground. You primarily use like vanishing points, which are points, let's say if you want to do like 2 points, we do 2 vanishing points, which is VS, and erasing this, we don't need this. And you would pretty much, depending on the software that you use, or if you're doing traditionally, you can use a ruler. When you make a line, you straighten it out. And then everything, let's say it's a cube, it goes to these vanishing points. And you can adjust them however you want. And let's say this is your cube. In the middle, in 2-point perspective. That was a little bit hard tip as well. 30 seconds. So overall, at the end of the day, if you want to capture at least also more emotion, it depends on colors. Like if it's red, it could be like more like lustful or anger, or if you're doing orange, where it's like a war scene, or like green or yellow to feel unease. I think that's what I would say. Also distincting characters based off of colors. Doesn't have to be about mood. It can just be about just like knowing when someone animates it, where things are gonna go in an animatic sense. Done. Okay. That's pretty good. So for, let's say we're gonna do an art tip If I'm gonna do an art tip, I'm gonna make it shorter and not. No, I'm not gonna skip on that segment. I have the book here, Drawn from Life. I will. Yeah, no, continue. Okay, start. I have no prep for like an art tip, but for anything specific that come out of art school is to know how to draw or understand lighting for a sphere. This is a bad sphere. I will actually draw. I need to look at this. Draw a sphere. This is not a sphere. It's so like an oval. But yes. Already it feels flat. Two things to note. Line weight and dimension. Sure, we can probably say we are facing it. And if we're facing it, where is the depth, D-E-P-T-H, or a dimension, like their dimension of it? Where does the lighting show? So if we say the lighting came from here, in a drawing more specifically, I would imagine we want, let's say the, oh, sorry, that's not the erase tool. We would want, we would want the line value to be more softer as a result, to show the intensity. Because with value, white is the brightest and black is the darkest. Or it can be flipped around depending on, like, that's when you start breaking the rules. For here, you have lighting, value of lighting in the dark here. And that could be some form of, I could be wrong with this. I should bring up the paper actually. I'll be right back. I'm gonna pause this actually. I don't wanna make this run over my time. Eat. You have two types of shadows. You can look at this if you want. It's my notes. What I'm making, sorry, it wasn't still. What I'm making here is called the form shadow. We're forming the shape, which is a sphere, to denote it is some 3D object. We also want to know, I believe the cast shadow is anything behind the sphere that the light is not hitting. So that's your cast shadow. Oh, I'm gonna just press the timer. And then, usually, if you're hitting a surface, you would get what's called reflective light, which would bounce off a little bit in the back, but would not be notably more brighter, but would have a distinct glare to it. That is your reflective light. What you would also know is that the general between here of the cast shadow to the light surface is called the terminator. And anything below here, I believe, is called the penumbra. I can't spell it out, but you understand that. And with that, with the cast shadow, what you have over here generally in the middle, oh my gosh, in the middle here, that's semi more darker, but it's more visually there than the cast shadow, would be called the core shadow. And the more direct it is against like a surface, let's say, yeah, really quick. The more closer it is to a surface, if it was like, if the wall was here, then the more reflective light you would get as a result. So it'd be more like brighter because of if the light is making contact here closer, then you would see more reflection than shadow. Yes. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good tip. So it's important to understand that.
Okay. Totally different outfit. Totally different day, month. Straight up, it is July 14th, 2024. Possibly 6 months later, as of the date. I did not finish the video. It is 10:57 p.m. currently, and as well, it is 67 degrees outside, but in my apartment, it is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's why I'm wearing very tank top, if anything, just underwear. Too much TMI. I'm sorry. Um, the overall big thing that I want to preface with is this is the last video that I was still on that continuation of making that just me's. My life has kept going even after that just me's. I just didn't make the videos. It was no experiment to stop making the videos, nor was it a form of holding up the drama or expectations of what this video will be. I'm reading just like random stuff off this paper. And if anything, like this is all I have. Being somewhat transparent. Ooh, kidding. The big thing that I want to say about it is why I'm even posting the video now. Because that's the biggest thing that I want to say. First off, I don't know how long actually the video took me to make, but roughly would probably be the average of the same amount of times I've done out of the 3, if not less. Because I stopped there and I didn't even make. I don't even plan to do an ending song because it's nighttime and I don't want to interrupt my neighbors. I'm already talking, so the biggest part. I'm also 21 at this point. That person prior was 20, and they were a different person. The biggest thing that I want to take out with this video is that I was going to sleep. I was truly going to sleep, but I usually have this routine where I'm just on my phone and I write character AI stories or whatnot. Or I just watch YouTube videos that on my feed on my phone when I'm in bed on the weekends. Currently, I'm working a summer job at Open World. Really like it. Second year doing it. Learned about liminality, keeping it that brief. Where with liminality, sorry, you separate yourself from the real world that you are living in, which whether it be capitalism or the state of the world, to a confined space or a shared space that doesn't follow those rules. And creating those spaces helps people like K through 12 people to separate themselves and actually just be themselves in those worlds. I know in the first year I learned about mirroring, which was the accountability of understanding how people act in a social environment, and that if you act differently in some case, they will mimic it abundantly, not just abundantly, but naturally, without even knowing they're also doing that word. I don't know that word at the top of my head, but that's usually the case. And I find those two forms of words appealing because it's a lot to do with the psychological aspect of the human mind, but also it's just um, something I feel like you learn late, obviously, and when you're becoming an adult. I digress. The video, I like to rant, so I think it is definitely important to be like, for me at least, when it comes to these videos, and not just fill the quota of like an hour long video, but currently has been like 5 minutes. Sure, I have ADHD, but this is important ADHD to talk about. I was watching a video. I have it on my phone. It's not myself as a video, but two videos actually that I don't know why has kept me. No, three videos actually that has kept me to be like, you know what, this is a vibe. Whether if it becomes controversial for years to come, this is just what I watched at this point in time. It felt like, you know what, this made me want to post my video. Anyhow, this is the last video that I was watching. It was, what is this video? I don't know if it's gonna see through because of the very blurriness, but it is called I was an MIT educated neurosurgeon. Now I'm unemployed and alone in the mountains. How did I get here? Okay, that's very long. Yeah, it's very manga-esque titled. I don't know if you can see it still. It was on July 9th, so it was roughly 5 days ago. And yeah, this year. And it's sharing a story. I'm going to talk about each of the three videos. Sorry. This one just talks about the story of which someone was a neurosurgeon from MIT, and they are learning about the aspects of people's well-being. I have not finished it, so I'm going to be ignorant, okay? Halfway through. But I'm at the point where he talked about the idea of learning from other people and how they get better. Probably because of they eat healthier veggies, they socialize with people, they do all that stuff, and the people who do really bad when they recover from like a spinal surgery or a treatment or trying to get better for themselves for their hygiene or their health, it's usually those people who are typically lax or feel like that emotionally in their mental state that they are just unhappy with themselves in their circumstances and they don't uplift themselves for the circumstances to be or to help themselves become better in those circumstances. Um, and before that, he was talking about that he wanted to be someone who, before doing the spinal surgery path in neurosurgery, which is a standard or normal of it, he wanted to be someone who specialized in neurosurgeon with machine learning or brain, not brain surgery, but machines and brains connected to one another. Without going back to the video, that's what I'm learning. And it was something that he didn't feel like was right because of the aspect. I'm not gonna say I'm fine that I'm misconstruing some of the things, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head. You can watch the video to find out. Is the idea that when you have like a ghost limb, right? You have that feeling of there's a limb there, and then you're having electrodes connect with that. That it's something that in your body you're fighting against, and it's not like a real thing. He didn't like that, or that aspect of it, or diving deeper into the research. He's like, that's not my thing. I don't see a future of myself that I'm gonna feel happy about, and especially as well with the spinal surgery, when he was actually getting good benefits of that. He's like, I'm not being fulfilled in my life overall, and that's all I know at this point in time. And now he lives in the mountains, and his YouTube videos are just cloud watching, virtual walks, um, mindful meditations, all that to jazz. And the moral story that I take of it is when I have those videos recommended to me on my YouTube, I am like, yeah, the path I'm thinking of with my mindset is that I want to start doing something that I really enjoy right now, then in the long term, trying to get like a benefit with like all my degree program. Like if I was still in civil engineering, then later on I would become an artist, or I'm doing the opposite thereof, where I'm like, I am an artist, I am in a safe place where I am right now. Why am I not progressing at the point to do art in what I want to do in my life? Is that question I'm figuring out, which is nice, but also where do you stand when you have to take action and risk for that to do things in your life? That comes to my second video that I watched, which seems out of the contrary. It's a YouTuber named Johnny Harris, and it was a 6 month video, and it was about. Let me, let me scroll to find it. It was The Deep State Explained. Who is the deep state? And I finished that video. That was 30 minutes. And overall, it breaks down the idea of, to keep it simple, like a teacher's quote, if you can explain it in 3 sentences, you're golden. Is the first one, the history of the use of the deep state, if not during wars. And someone signing off on those wars, no, signing off of not having anyone or personnel um, be in the deep state anymore. I think it was like the OSS. And then the other one is the rise of the CIA. And then the next one is the lackluster thereof, trying to reach away from the use of the CIA or the delegations of how we, the people, have to how to interpret our freedom now, where not just allegations, but things worldwide few or less are controlled by people who are not even president. Because that was the worry of the US at this time, to not feel as though it is a president's job to do everything and to have control of everything, but learning about what the deep state is and how much paranoia and conspiracy and threads that are being put up with like lies or fake news thereof. There's so much to keep track of that even a president could not even keep track of themselves, that they would need advisors or other people to get things done. I'm not a conspiratist, but I just like to listen to a video that, if it applies to like a cool game mechanic, I don't know. Anyways, I'm also making a board game. I like my board game. Anyhow, the big sum of that video is, if I misconstrued, I'm sorry, you can watch the video yourself and you can learn something, that'd be kind of cool, is that my mind sometimes I'm like, maybe it's weird, right? If I took actually like YouTube seriously. And if I took YouTube seriously because he's independent journalist, I'm not gonna be an independent journalist, but just sharing your ideas and sharing something that um, that piques interest in those aspects of, it's a watch later, and then when you watch later, it's like, yeah, then yeah, that was it. I'm not gonna go any deeper, or else I'm just gonna rant. And the first video that I watched was Dear America from England. And that's the title of the video, and it's from a YouTuber called Echo Mike. He is from the army, from the image I see. It is a 7-minute video, 7:35-minute video. And the sum of that video is, the one thing I want to pick out of the video is not actually a statement from the video, but the mannerisms and the explanation you have behind a video, behind actually this video as well. Just in general, it's when you explain something to a camera, you're on the spot. It always feels like you're on the spot, even though you put like googly eyes. I don't have googly eyes on my thing, but the fact of it being that I am having a choice, right? And I think about like YouTube apologies now, where I'm just meta gaming this now, where I'm like, you look at a camera and you're apologizing to a camera, to people, because that's how you broadcast, right? Obviously. But the main thing about doing a lot of takes, and there's no cuts. The only cuts I do are like transition to another thing. I don't say anything terrible or bad, to me at least. But the people who keep it to themselves, there's a weird fine line when it comes to wanting to put yourself out there. And I think that's something that I struck during like my 6 months. And I think that was a whole big thing that I'm like, whenever I do have a good concept, I think I've finally found what I want to say now. When I find a really good concept and it's just me working on it, it's hard to feel like that if I do get big on it, I'm going to not fail. Obviously, I won't fail because I'm awesome. Uh, ego, but that's what I will be known by. That's what I would be existing as, and how I convey myself to my new audience or to my old audience, who obviously care to some extent at their point in life and what they want to do. And going back to the video of Dear America from England, is from a perspective of a person who was born in America, who's more American than most Americans, that many people can say. And he talks about the idea of internal conflict in the country. And obviously now, with presidency and whatnot. That dates this video. And what I think not a lot of times that is explained a lot to people in videos. Sure, with the content, depending on what content you're being brought up, maybe it has been told you many times before, but I think I realized that, when you are the type of person who wants to have really formatted, detailed cookie cut videos like the deep state video, right? And you have the 7 minute and 36 video of a brief message of a you want to run, just turning on a video, telling the world like, hello, Mary, I'm from England. Let me tell you that we need to get better, and it's the American dream to actually own guns and not fight for people who don't like guns. If you don't like guns, then go to a different country that doesn't have guns. That was a point in the video, which I'm like, valid, no argument there. But and it also talks about like those people who do argue, they know there is no other better place for them to live. And obviously, there's also those circumstances of how are they wealth wise, right? Like how are they themselves able to afford going to better places if they want to go to quote unquote better places, not excluding the US or including the US with based off my terminology, but just saying it's the fact remains with all three videos, even the first video I talked about when it was talking about an MIT neurosurgeon who now goes outdoors, that was what like
That was a 48-minute video. Just someone talking in the wilderness with bugs in his face. No change in scenery, as I know of. The fact thereof is that they're all telling a story. And that's what this title of this video is, now that I'm thinking about it. I think in the video in the first half when I was holding that board, I wrote, "That's just me, I'm playing hard to get." I don't know what I was thinking when I with that title. I really don't know. But I think this title, "That's just me, raise yourself to tell stories," is a better thing. Because I think nowadays, not just with social media or just the 21st or 22nd century or 2014 overall, just possibly just for me being 21 years old. Um, if you cannot tell, let's say this is July 1st. That's my birthday. And 14, so actually 2 weeks now I've been 21. I actually do feel like a paradigm shift where, that there are a few things in my life that I'm like, yeah, I have to regulate my addictions. Whether if it's um, being vulnerable to talk about my addictions or not, which I won't. But I will say it's obviously not like alcohol or drug addictions. It's the third. It's the latter. It's not gambling. I don't know. But besides that, it's that freedom to tell stories. And how you tell your story is up to you. But know when you tell your story, there's obviously going to be people who have, you know, feedback on the story. And as well, their own opinions on that story, which I think is fine. And it's me throwing away my ego. And that's another thing I learned, that working for open world, right? And I'm working with explorers who are younger kids. Obviously, like, I don't know off the top of my head. I know like 6 or 9, because I know we can't take care of 5-year-olds because it's just daycare at that point. But I think it's like 6 to 10 at most. Is that they are individuals who don't know a lot about life, right? And that's why we create those liminality spaces to make them enjoy the education that we're going to bring to them. Because open world is also just like a summer camp in which we are teaching them things that, whether they are interested in it or not, they can do it. And also, in the grand scheme of things as well, it is for those parents who can afford it to either just have time to themselves to do what they can to just exist in life, and also possibly just enjoy their memories that they want to create, and then they can tell their stories later on to people their age or older or younger, just like how great or worse it was. And at the end of the day, with the summer camp, our job is to make them feel like they had a great day. So overall, um, at this point, I lost my train of thought what I said beforehand. That's why I was pausing for a second. Like, I don't want to rant too much.
is that you can't say everything. And that's a point that comes across. And the one thing I hate the most, knowing when I'm an adult, is that I think I said it to myself in the first half of the video. If not, I'm telling myself now that the hard part is not being vulnerable. The hard part for anyone is to talk about it, obviously, right? Do you communicate it? Because there is this weird uncertainty. Pause. Am I right? Uncertainty. Because I want to make a point or a a, a side brief. Is that I've also been watching a lot of game design videos, and a lot of it, especially today, I watched about replayability and the aspect of memorable games. That what are the perfect game that you play? And I was also playing Cobblemon on Minecraft with a mod as I was listening to the videos, and every time that like this one particular video, if I want to call them out in a positive note, obviously, it's let's see even if I have it or not. Why I don't replay my favorite games by Nasu, Nasu, is that sometimes you are scared that when you get the ending, you finish the game, and then you revisit years later, it's not gonna feel the same. Or when you have a certain story like Grease that tells a really good narrative, but it is limited to whatever it is game mechanic wise, which is the overall game loop where it is a roguelike that you're just roguelite where you're just going through and you're upgrading and then it's there. It's not the highlight, but it's the story that's the highlight. If you've not played Grease. And then I think the other game was uh, a Castlevania like game where you climb a tower or you just fight your way through bosses, like a vampire game. I don't want to look it up because I don't want to ruin this flow. And you can just turn off your brain and you can just play it. It's one of those games. And you can upgrade your person, and the whole game is about the game loop, which is you defeating monsters, and then when you defeat monsters, you get your upgrades and you go to another level. And there is a lack of story thereof to not worry about for the player to think so much about the story. And the person who was also talking about in the video, they're talking about Dark Souls, where they are not so invested in the story of Dark Souls, but they are more invested with the mechanics and just the unfamiliarity or the amount of leeway of showing you the controls or showing you the direction that you want to play or give yourself to go somewhere is loose and not restricting. So what do I mean by that uncertainty that I wrote down? I've said it a lot these couple of months to myself, is that it's harsh enough that it is that to formulate the idea of life being in a simulation. And because it can also be a form of game mechanics. And a lot of times when I do watch those video essays of game design, I think so much, if not solely about life. Because my board game, I want to make a
D&D adaptive card game in which it is a sandbox light dungeon crawler, turn based, abstract game. It's on the side there. Where I realize I'm just making a really good UI. I want to make the leeway where the people who play my card game are people who can play it with replayability, but I think I'm undermining that. And it's more or less about the stories. Oh, I linked it. Game linked it. It's about the stories that you make and the stories that you remember. And the one thing I hate with the uncertainty is that I would forget things over time. And I think that's my worry over death. And that's my worry with commitment. Sure, I can commit to things. But I think to me, I think I commit not enough when I'm on my own to things in the long term. And I'm admitting that. So even though I don't watch this, I said it out loud. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine recording it because what I also find unnerving, and I think why social media exists, to me, in my case, is that it shows off the best and worst in people. And most times is that you want to search for something that can take your mind off of doing something and you just want to zone out. Play Cobblemon. You're just listening to roguelike game designs for a game that you're not even touching, yet you want to create, right? Or you need to go to sleep, but you watch a video just to exist now in this present me who's making a video about something that I need to make something to do with presenting a video 6 months online. So overall, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. And the hard part of it is that I might not make another That Just Me video. Or maybe I will make a That Just Me video. That's the uncertainty of my life right now. And I do have plans. If not, I want to make amends with a lot of my decisions over my 20 years of my life that I took for granted for, like possibly like working out, obviously, or eating enough, or spending too much time watching videos, or playing too much devil's advocate with myself when it comes to playing with my addictions. But that's just me, right? It's not you. It's you being someone who's watching me talk about my things and overanalyzing them. And let me talk about that, right? The whole point of That Just Me, not just now, but I think for what I wanted it to be, is not just a video essay or video documentary of my life over the course of time. No. I want it to be something that I'm just like, I initially wanted to open myself up because I've had a hard time to open myself up with people when I was definitely younger. Because I was definitely an introvert, but now I'm someone who's more eloquently able to talk and wanting to set forth on a platform that I have to remind myself every time to be like, yeah, as much as it's not gonna money, it's more rewarding to experience yourself, to do it
than to not do it at all. And at that point, you have to ride that fine line of, are you as an individual doing this for yourself in the long term? Or are you doing this for yourself because you're trying to work towards something or for someone that is not you? And then what do you get out of it at the end? You get the experience. And especially with the independent, the one with the deep state, when he was sitting with the guy, I imagine myself to be one of those people who was like not a TA, but like a PA, like a personal assistant, just watching the sidelines, getting experience. Like, how do you become an independent journalist? Like, if I want to be a journalist, I'm watching you be a journalist. There are many people out there who don't go to schools or art schools or get that formal education and do YouTube and make millions or make dues. And sure, at this point in time, I could say that when Mr. Beast gets to the age of 35, when he can become president, there is a video. I don't know specifically the video. I can look it up, but I don't want to look it up. Fine, I'll look it up. That discusses the idea of how people socially, or my best prediction by from the YouTuber Big A. The title is My Best Prediction. Anyhow, from that video, he talked about like how social media influencers will change the way that the government changes, or because of the reach of people. That's interesting. But do I want to be someone who runs for president? Sometimes in dire needs, I feel like I can run the world, but I'm not. And I think that feels almost contradictory to the point where, like, when you are those types of people who want to work in secrecy, who want to work to cover up things or to keep the world structured, but now you're for me, an individual or a child growing up to be individuals who I've also watched videos of people who do startups in San Francisco or California, because that's where all the tech people are, and they're making their money, they're making their businesses, they're helping the formal stock market, or not stock market, but people who are in the stock market try to find those small businesses in which they are curated by their little business that do the coding to not augment, but file and show almost in real time the businesses in which are thriving and which aren't thriving from a stock market person perspective, uneducated perspective. That was a while ago, so I don't know the video. And that's where it feels weird, because obviously, what it feels like to be like, truthfully, I've not done a lot of my own art as of these months. I've either been, for the last months of February and March, April, May, June, April, were me working on a video game project. One last step. It didn't make finalists, but it was a game I worked on that I was a lead. I feel happy and overjoyed with it. Would I play it again? No. Worked on so much, I've seen it so much, I'm like, yeah, I'm over it. Working in open world, I have that prioritized in my life. So I think I would end it off here. And I know I'm gonna have a lot of things to say afterwards, or maybe that's when I write talk about those in the future that just means. But the biggest question I want to ask myself and ask you, obviously, is
Why can't we all just be genuine? Right? Obviously, the debate is that people are going to use each other for content. Don't take this out of context. Pause. I do believe in the idea of people when it comes to like Instagram or Shorts. I don't think Shorts on YouTube does it, but I know in Instagram where you can have accounts stack one in each other and you can like do shared accounts and you can like multiply like those types of things when you wanna be able to grow each other content. Um, I think the question should have been like, why can't we all just be accountable for what we do and just not do it again? Like for me in the future, I don't want to be, or for this channel, if I talk about the future of this channel, I don't want my channel to be any form of controversial. Like this channel for me is just videos that at a point in time in my life, I'm talking about it and I'm expressing it. And the point of views of which I have with my videos, even without a context or with context, are videos that when I look back on it, I'm like, damn, I evolved. Even when I said hours ago, I don't want videos like that. And that means I'm just indecisive. This sucks. No, this is when you know I'm intending to go sleep. So that is it. Thank you for watching. I want to say something else. Really, it's like I have nothing up here to say, but I want to say it now. So I'm gonna say it. Um, I'm gonna try to make the videos. I think that's what I want to say. I want to make the videos definitely shorter. They're not gonna be an hour long. I think for me, when I think about an hour long, is more an experiment of like what they would feel like. Would they be punchy? They're not punchy, obviously. They are more just like, But I just want to, I just want to make definitely videos for this channel. That's what I was talking about. Yes, got it. I wanted to make videos for this channel, which are not weirdly. It doesn't have to be authentic. No, it has to be authentic. But I don't want it to be like challenge-based stuff. I think I just want to. I feel like I'm definitely a person that's like I like to do my animations, and I like to do. That's where I wanted to go. Got it. I want to do my animations. I want to do my arts, but I've been feeling like I always wanted to be like a filmmaker-esque person, or when I do VFX or tech art, is those implementations of like that reality of real and Unreal Engine, And the one thing that stops me is not doing it, obviously, because I'm watching others people's content as a result of it. So the true question is, when do you start doing things that you want to do? And I think when it comes to like the answer saying like now, like do it now, you're obviously not going to do it now when you watch this video. Um, that is what I wanted to say. There you go. Is that if you are watching the video, so it's like do it now, do it now. I hope you're doing it now. No, it's to honestly gamify your life, right? And that's what I wanted to holistically wrap it all onto the idea of why I mentioned the game design stuff, why I mentioned the implementation of like the idea of like life and video games and that weird harsh relationship of tying yourself with the idea of sure you can just gamify your life, whatever, but you can't just treat your life as GTA
6, which has not come out yet, or GTA 5. Um, because I said to myself, I remember, is that you only have, or you live with the mistakes, and you can't redo those mistakes. You can't just put it away and say, "Wow, that was memorable, memorable, my favorite game," or I want to replay that moment. You know, with the one video about replayability or why it's a memorable game to you. No, you have to keep progressing. And I would say when it comes to the form of being able to gameplay your life is to add um, a personal reward factor. Obviously, controlling your addictions and to how to some extent of how you treat yourself. But I would say more or less active as if it's like money, but don't actually use money to spend your stuff if you're a frugal person. It's more or less like use like fake rewards or like points because weirdly and realistically, it's like when you do play games, if you are a gamer or if you're not a football gamer, when you play a game, there is a point system, and this point system makes you feel good sometimes, or makes you feel like you are challenging yourself to win at something. Maybe you play at chess or checkers. You're taking other people's pieces. That shows you like there is progression in the game. Or where you are playing a card game, you are taking out people's cards to see how much they are left, or you abundantly win defeating all their health points. Or where it comes down to actually like game like FPS games, it's like whichever team is still alive. You're like, yes, I am alive still. I'm living another day to keep playing. So finding those aspects in your life that aren't so physically harmful, but are just things in your mind that can help you recontextualize the idea that life is actually fun and worth progressing if you let yourself have fun with it in that aspect. And it doesn't have to be chaotic or right, like not right games, but you don't have to be like an anarchist. You don't have to be um, someone who's making movements, because at the end of the day, especially when you get older, is that you definitely have to take care of yourself more than you take care of others. But don't be me, who I said 6 months ago, where I'm like I'm a workaholic. I I work for people, and through them, with their ideas, I thrive through them like a little bug. um, but at the end of the day, though, like even when after that game was finished, we are also progressing, hopefully, with another game group and not separating with one another. Obviously, that could be like a downside, not experiencing new people or faces, but we're also still experiencing new people and faces when it comes to other degree programs because it was a whole project just of BFAs and one BAMSD, which a BAMSD is a Bachelor's of Arts of Music and Sound Design, and BFA is of Fine Arts, Bachelor's of Fine Arts. And then you do your other degree programs, which those are new faces, and we still don't know our game. But I'm making a playlist of all the game design things that I'm listening to over the summer and then sending it to them to later on see how that goes. I think the one thing that I wish EDG, but no, I think that's my point. Gamify your life to the extent that not to make it harmful, but to finding yourselves that you can enjoy each day and go to rewards that are your passions or your things, your goals in your life, because no one else can set them but you. You can get inspired by videos like this or not, but at least I shared my story so you can also play test it yourself to see how that goes. Um, to my extent, I just feel like I want to be like the Aisha Ray of community college videos, where I'm like, yeah, I saw someone in New York City. It's like, yeah, I went to community college. I'm like, yeah, no, I did also go to community college, but not for that video. Running Star is awesome. If you take Running Star, it's great. You experience the adulthood life straight away after high school. You feel like, oh my gosh, there is a bigger pond. It's an ocean of possibilities. And then now in my life, I'm thinking, I know that ocean of possibilities. It sucks. I know that ocean of possibilities, and why am I always being rhetorical with those oceans of possibilities now? I just need to be straight with it. Um, but yeah, and I would also say that key thing in life, I don't know. See, I know what I want to talk about now is the aspect that if you do know what you want to do in life, or you do know a general margin of what you want to do in life, like for me, it was like art, and even for my future goal of like being a civil engineer or mechanical engineer, I want to be an architect who does art or design. I knew when my cousin sold, I wanted to do that, so I'm pursuing it. Not I'm doing arts, fine arts, and I like it. I've not been doing it, right? But at the same time, I've also been helping a friend of mine with her painting, almost being a practice art director in that way. Just so there is a weird balance of like me doing art and not doing art, and expecting yourself to go in one way or another. But I think there is a marginal thing when it comes to you doing things that is a benefit to your life, like taking a shower, eating, brushing your teeth, flossing, um, washing your clothes. Those are things that you do when you're an adult on your own, besides paying for your stuff, like food, if you drive a car, um, if you had to pay taxes if you live in an apartment or you still live with your parents, that is actually fine. So much for saving money. Depends on you. So that's where I ended off, and that's the truth. So I know I wanted to say something else, but I forgot. And I want to go to sleep because I have work tomorrow on Monday, and I like my work. It's great. Probably on Saturday or Sunday, I'll just make like a short video. That's just me, like a recap of my life, and just be like, you know what, that's what I want to do. Because those are the videos that I want to make. I want to make videos in which I'm just, I guess, yeah, I'll be honest, just want to recap my life. But also, I just wanted to also take the time to say what's on my mind. And it doesn't have to be like a vlog. I I don't plan to vlog my life. I just keep it straightforward, like, and then just like almost as if I'm genuinely having a conversation with someone, or someone can listen to this in the background and be like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is insane. This is what is he on?" Truthfully, because I don't know. um, yeah, and I still do believe, like in the long term, I want to keep doing this, but not separating over time. And if I do reach a goal of, let's say, like 1,000 subscribers or something, I'm not aiming for that right now. I'm just like, because I know on my TikTok I reached that, and then I stopped, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why? And then as well as my Instagram, I stopped at 600 because I finally got to 600, and I just stopped. I was like, why? That I don't stop. I think with YouTube, it's like when I watch videos, I'm like, yeah, it takes a long time for longevity to grow, especially with even like Mr. Beast or something, or PewDiePie. That you don't win over people with that banger video, right? that introduces them to the idea of what your channel is all about, but it's more so about your relationship with them. And my relationship with you, the viewer, is this conversation, which is what I'm giving you as like a comfort streamer, as not comforting conversation of opening up to myself as a stranger to you. So, not to say I have friends who I actually talk deeply about these conversations, and they're actually very happy that they do open up to me with conversations like these. Not to brag, I think this is where I'm now. In another life, I would definitely have been a psychiatrist, but I don't believe so much in the psychiatrist path because I enjoy it. And it's truly a good separation between what is like a hobby doing, like just talking with people and just being deep with people, and as well as knowing what my purpose is in life, what I want to be known as. I want to be known not just as an artist, but someone of a creative, someone of a director, someone who can create things in which can give people more leeway to live. Because whenever I think of like a good example of like what do I keep on living for, it's like those trailers of movies or not even those games. I was not even a gamer when I came to Digivent, which is a school I go to. I care less for games, but I like the arts, and I felt like it was just it's not fate for me to go here, and it's awesome. I meet people that I really enjoy being around with, and I don't. The worst part is I with an industry when you learn about the industry, it's like don't want to cause bad blood. And if you're someone who easily doesn't want to cause bad blood with individuals, then it's like you understand more about yourself. Because if they're like, I need to end this video. Okay. In life, when you're collaborating with people, if you want to be an adult, if you want to work a job, if you want to work with other people, because that's what the real word is that as much as you want to be an independent person, you have to learn how to work with other people so you can not spread yourself thin to do things. Is to drop your ego. If you always have your ego up, sure, you can be your independent person, but make sure that when you're in conversation with people, you don't let emotions drive you. You let the conversation, how it flows, be what it is, but don't let your mind wander off. It's where you pay attention. It's where you're listening to them. You're like, okay, if that's what it takes, then we'll see it out and you play test that. And then if it works out, put your ego back in. You're like, oh, thank you. A good example of this is, you know, obviously, or a opposing example of this, I don't know, is one of the people that I work with at Open World. There is a weird parking lot system in which it's only like a one-way road in the parking lot to go to an up ramp. And for pickup, I suggest to make it a two-lane road or a two-way road where you are there's an up ramp and there's a down ramp. And when you go to the up ramp, people on the left, and people going to the down ramp, you go from the right. And the person's like, no, I believe it's a one ramp. I'm like, obviously it's one ramp, but I'm trying to be liminal about this person name. It can be a two-lane thing. And I'm like, and when it worked, I dropped my ego a little bit. I'm like, let's just see. Come on, let's just test it out. That's me playtesting a little bit with my little ego. And I'm like, okay. And then it works out. Because I'm those people who see firsthand how it works. And then it's like, yes. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, I don't take that what you will as that example. Third example, the second example is
to be open-minded. What? With people, be friendly with people. That's part of the ego one, but obviously I'm making this a separate thing of because you don't know what people are going through on a daily basis where you meet someone. They could be in the worst thing in their life and they're just going to work. Or even though you have that sarcastic tone of someone being like, ha ha ha, you came in late. The harsh reality of it is they're going through something probably worse, even or not. Or maybe they're hiding a secret, or what have you, they're just resting face. You don't know until you have a conversation with them, truthfully. And that part of that is that no one's a mind reader. No one can really read good social cues unless you actually interact with the individual. And if the individual wants to be left alone, then if they're at their job, that's hard, obviously. But if it's like a family thing, if they want to be left alone, then I think it's sort of just that idea of you just have to just check on them from time and time again. And that's fine to check on them time and time again. Because maybe they forget that obviously it's a thing they want to do, or they're caught up in something in their own individual. It's like it's always nice to just check up on them once in a while, or in person once in a while, or over message once in a while. I know my parents do that, and I'm fine with that. I love you. Anyhow, third one is the idea that you have to start thinking that you can do anything in the world when you get older. That you can do anything in the world. Why is that? Well, if you can think of doing anything in the world, you'll be free from everything. Truthfully, because then you would feel insane, like how I'm feeling insane, talking to this thing at 11:59 p.m. that's gonna turn to 11:15 the next day. It's that passion, right? And I think that's the definition of a passion. It's just letting yourself enjoy something without the restraint of something opposing. That was strong. I made that up, but that's true. Because if there's something like so opposing as, let's say my psychiatrist thing, I feel like personally with myself, I would stop talking to myself and start doing something else. Even with art, right? It's my job, it's my work, or being creative, it's my job, it's my work. And if I'm being paid by that, it's like, ugh, it's kind of weird. So I have to think of it truthfully as like a gameplay where the money that I earn are just points that I earn. And if I think about it that way, then it doesn't feel as burdening as it is, and I actually do my best if I don't think so much stressfully about the idea that I get, let's say, like $2 an hour for my job. I don't. I'm just making up a number where it's like, yeah, I made $2 an hour on my job, and that's to pay for my real stuff, and that's to do whatever. It's that liminality in your brain. They need to keep in check. But truthfully, that's how people make things happen. And especially with the deep state video, it's mentioned that every conversation was not just in the White House, but it was more or less in houses, at house parties, just having a conversation with people, having ideas, being creative, and just being like, you know what, these are ideas that we can go with. I'm not saying to join the deep state. I'm saying more or less so. You have definitely the freedom, even if it's behind walls, even if it's being deceiving, to have a conversation with someone. Or you don't have to have a conversation with someone. You can just have a conversation with yourself and you're feeling insane about it and then
cope with it. But never forget that when you do believe that you want to do anything yourself, you want to do anything in the world, and you want to strive for the things that you want to do in the world. Note that there are limitations that exist that are already at the top of that food chain that you have to maneuver around with. And not just maneuver around with, but learn why they exist. And I think that's the one thing that you wish you learned like at younger age, that they exist and not just be blissfully watching cartoons, is that they exist for some reason, and they don't make it fun to learn it in school to do that. Until when you're an adult and you watch YouTube videos, you're like, oh my gosh, that's kind of cool. Like Deep Sea, you're like, wow, it's awesome. By someone who is independent and actually loves what they're doing, wanting to research and dive deep into it, and become a workaholic into it. So now it's 12:02 a.m. So I definitely am gonna end it off here. I might not sleep. I might just watch a YouTube video again. But overall, thank you for listening. This will probably be the last time I talk about this, or the next time I find this as my lowest viewer video. Um, but I need to just think of it as a game, right? A lot of people say think of it as a game because if you attach it so much to real life currency, it's almost like a death wish, almost, or like it's that phrase of, man, with a lot of people who are creators, they're like, man, I want to, I do it like I am like an indie studio, right? I'm working like it is like my blood and soul into it, which is as much as like it's a harsh thing to say. It's like trying to separate yourself from your work and just working on your work and just believing in what the work is. I think genuinely enough is enough. So when I do tackle my junior project, because I'm going to become a junior at the Japan, when I work on that game, I think I'm not going to put a lot of my heart and soul into it, but I'm going to put a lot of my passion into it. Like it's almost like a secondary thing to obviously to the real things that you want to do in life, which is see what projects are for, right? Yes, and that's the requirement that you have to know. And then if it is brought up that it is good, then you work on it more, and then you don't forget that it's something that you want to work on for. And if you do feel that barrier, if you that is becoming too stressful, then it is okay to take a break from it, because at that point you are your own boss to decide when to take those breaks, and then how long those breaks take. And that's the tricky part. And that answer is up to you yourself to decide that. I can't decide that for you because everyone is actually different. Some people need more sleep than others. I know when I came to me in high school, I tried to sleep for 5 or 6 hours. Look at me, I sleep 5 or 6 hours and I'm fine. No, truthfully, I'm fine. Blink twice. Blink twice. Yeah, this is what I wanted to record for my Clipchamp to end the video off. So no song. But that's just me.